The doctors argue over the definition of acute, and I wait. People watch cartoons with big, shell-shocked eyes, lines of emotion coming from their heads. I will not look at anyone.
It's still new to Mary Dennis to be really listened to. Mary has lived with mental illness since she was very young. Now, at 19, she's found ways to deal with her depression and anxiety. Her experience of mental illness has also become the inspiration for both her writing and helping other young people.
A fight breaks out, one ward over, and I fall asleep to the sound of compulsory slippers slapping polished floors.
What you want most in your life is for your children to be happy. And she was very, very unhappy, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to help her.
In the polar bear ward, Mary writes of the time she was institutionalised for a week. She was 15 and living with her family in Germany. The stress of being an outsider and being bullied made life unbearable.
It was somewhat similar to prison. I was just kind of sitting in my room for hours on end. I wasn't really spoken to by anyone. And if I was, they would sort of come into my room for perhaps a couple of minutes and say, oh, what's wrong with you? And I'd say, oh, I don't really know. and then they'd say, okay, well, we don't know how to help you then, and they would leave.
Tragically, the mental health system in Germany provided almost no support as Mary lived through these early bouts of extreme anxiety and depression. Back in New Zealand, it was no better.
February 18th, 10 a.m, Dr. Donald Jeffries. And how long would you say it's been like this? How long have you had this sense of isolation? Since birth, I say? Dr. Jeffries laughs, looks at me, becomes silent and turns his head to his notebook where he writes something, underlining it with a swift sweep of his pen across the page.
Can you explain to me what it was like trying to get the help that you needed?
Extremely frustrating, I think, would be the word. There's a feeling that you're kind of banging your head against a wall and no one really seems to get it.
We felt that they didn't hear us, that they weren't listening. They'd interpret it their way and put in a nice lot of psychological jargon to it and come up with a list of goals that were completely not related to us at all. They could have written them up for someone else.
Yeah.
The most absurd advice given by one mental health professional was that Mary should aim to have several boyfriends.
And I said, well, I wouldn't mind having one. And she said, well, no, you should have several because then you'll know you can survive heartbreak. And I thought, what? Who has that as a goal?
It's random, isn't it?
It's very random.
I need to go out and get my heart broken.
Exactly. It's just like that's the classic example of them not treating you like just a normal person, because no one has the goal of being heartbroken, and I'm no different than anyone else.
When she was in 7th form, Mary's anxiety intensified to a point where she couldn't go to school.
Can you describe to me the anxiety?
Terror, really. It's that, you're sweating, your heart's racing. I'd get to the point where I was vomiting. Just thinking about just leaving the house, and that's a very hard thing to describe to people. It was literally just coming into contact with people that terrified me, really. I felt like I was being looked at and judged, really.
Mary often felt depressed and very lonely, a common feeling for many teenagers. But for 1 in 7 of New Zealand's youth, those feelings will turn into a chronic and debilitating illness.
Wasn't there some part of you that knew that those were irrational thoughts? Was there some kind of internal battle?
Yeah, there was certainly that battle, and just asking myself why I was reacting in that way. But unfortunately that sort of made it worse, because then there was an extra layer of guilt, really.
Mary met more young people with lengthy experience of mental illness at the Well-Linked Trust.
It's been, just the best therapy of all for me, really. People who have experienced mental illness are less prone to problem solving or trying to solve things, and they understand the value of just talking about it in itself.
Soon she was supporting others by taking calls from people who just needed to talk. Now Mary is about to start her first paid job as a youth peer advisor.
I'm so proud of her, I really am. She's not only used what she's learnt through this to get herself to a better position, but she's using it to help other people, and I admire that. Yeah.
Mary shares her work at a weekly writers group. They meet to critique each other's creations, and the results are getting attention.
I'll have to leave my Tracy someday, but let me do it in my own time.
Mary already had work published and won a national award for the autobiographical Have You Tried Therapy? Days after we met, Mary was invited to Parliament to receive an award from Arts Access Aotearoa. She recited this poem.
Saturday I wear Marilyn Monroe's old frocks, purple overalls, striped socks. Shards of Monday are falling through the windows, but I pay them no mind. I'll have to leave my Tracy someday, but let me do it in my own time.
Very good.
Very good. Going through something as many times as I have, history kind of proves that it doesn't last forever as much as it may feel like it at the time. There will always, one day you'll wake up and you'll feel a bit better and you'll feel able to do a bit more.
Julia says that Mary came out of the womb taking notes. She's a born writer with wisdom beyond her years.
Do you remember, how old would you have been when you wrote that one?
Yeah, probably about 6 or something. Yeah.
Interesting writing. One day a lady lost her marbles. She was very sad because her marbles were her only friend. She
searched and searched, but she couldn't find her marbles because she didn't know she had never had her marbles because she was mental.
not very PC.
This isn't very PC.
She wasn't PC. Not very
No,
PC at that age, Mary.
No. The moral of the story is, if you seem a bit strange, see your doctor.
Excellent.
Yes.
6, pretty
Bit of an omen of things to come. Yeah.
So how you going there with your marbles?
My marbles. Oh, I can't find them.
No?
I don't really want them.
You've adjusted.
I've adjusted to life without marbles.